very good evening. Welcome to The World Now at 4 on Hills TV. I am Udwak Daniel. First, let's talk the headlines. And on the headlines, Buhari approves redeployment of Abdullahi as new Minister of Environment. Still on the headlines, Turkey court confirms transfer of Khashoggi murder trial to Saudis. Also on the headlines, Kyiv accuses Hungary of helping Putin in Ukraine war. And on sports, Maradona's World Cup Hand of God jersey to be auctioned. And now the news in detail. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the immediate redeployment of Mohammed Abdullahi as the new Minister of Environment with effect from April 6, 2022. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, that is SGF, Boss Mustafa, announced this in a statement in Abuja, the nation's capital. Until his appointment, Abdullahi was the Honorable Minister of State for Science, Technology and Innovation. According to Mustafa, the President hopes that he would bring his wealth of experience to bear on this new assignment for the growth of the country. Away from that story, the Nigeria Defense Headquarters says a notable commander of Boko Haram terrorists, Saleh Mustafa, has surrendered to troops of Operation Hadinkai in the northeast as 51,114 terrorists have so far surrendered. The Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Bernard Onyeko, stated this while addressing newsmen on the operations of the military between March 25 and April 7 on Thursday in Abuja, the nation's capital. Onyeko said the surrender of Mustafa, popularly known as In Kathir, who was the Qaid of Garing Ba Abba, to troops in Bama was significant. He added that a total of 51,114 terrorists and families comprising of 11,398 men, 15,381 women, 24,335 children had so far surrendered to troops as at April 5. According to him, all surrendered terrorists have been documented while arrested. Rescued civilians and recovered items have been handed over to appropriate authorities for further action. He said that in the last 2 weeks, troops recovered 1 battle tank, 5 artillery guns, 2 GTS, and 3 AA guns. Onyeko also said the troops neutralized scores of terrorists, while 22 terrorist spies, 11 terrorists, and 3 logistic suppliers were arrested with 30 civilians rescued during the period. Still in the news, a federal high court, Abuja, on Thursday dismissed the fundamental enforcement rights suit filed by suspended DCP Abba Kyari against National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, that is NDLEA. Justice Inyang Ekwo dismissed the suit after counsel for the NDLEA's Joseph Sunday prayed the court that the matter be struck out. According to reports, when the matter was called, Cynthia Ikenna, lawyer to Kyari, was absent. Justice Ekwo said he was informed that Ikenna sent a letter praying the court for an adjournment, but the letter was not filed by the lawyer and therefore not in compliance with court rule. The judge directed that the letter be shown to the NDLEA's counsel Sunday, who expressed surprise with the developments, saying he was not copied in the letter in accordance with the rule of the court. He further prayed the court to strike out the matter, and after listening to NDLEA's lawyer, Justice Ekwo struck out the case. Also, the judge, after going into the substantive matter and seeing that parties had joint issues in the suit, went ahead to dismiss the case. When we return, news from other parts of Africa. Stay with us. Welcome back from that short break. This is The World Now at 4 on Hills TV. In the news, Somalia's clash leaders were locked in a new dispute on Thursday after the Prime Minister ordered the expulsion of the African Union's envoy to the troubled country. Prime Minister Mohamed Hussein Robles' office said it had declared Francisco Madeira persona non grata for engaging in acts that are incompatible with his status as representative of the African Union Commission and ordered him to leave Somalia within 48 hours. Last week, the UN Security Council voted unanimously for a new peacekeeping force for the Horn of Africa nation, where Al-Shabaab insurgents have been seeking to overthrow the fragile government for more than a decade. The African Union Transition Mission in Somalia, that is the ATMIS, replaces the African Union Mission in Somalia, that is AMISOM, which was created by the Security Council in 2007. Drawn from across Africa, the mission drove Al-Shabaab out of the Mogadishu in 2011, creating enough stability for government and federal agencies to take shape and 2 rounds of elections to be held. But a bitter power struggle between Farmajo and Robles has hindered efforts to hold long-delayed elections after the expiry of the president's mandate in February 2021. We now move to other parts of the world after this break. Don't go away. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. And now to other parts of the world. Top on the list would be the fact of a Russian-Ukraine war battle. Ukraine on Thursday accused its neighbor, Kremlin ally, Hungary, of appeasing Russian aggression and disrupting EU unity following a telephone call between the Hungarian and Russian leaders. After the elections, Budapest moved on to the next step, helping Russian President Vladimir Putin continue his aggression against Ukraine. Vladimir Putin congratulated Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán after his party won a 4th term in general elections last week. Viktor Orbán told Putin that Hungary would be prepared to pay Russia in rubles for gas imports. Viktor Orbán urged Vladimir Putin to implement an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine, and he invited the leaders of France, Germany, and Ukraine to meet the Russian leader in Budapest. He said that Hungary had been reluctant to acknowledge Russia's undeniable responsibility for atrocities, and that this could strengthen Russia's sense of impunity and encourage it to commit new atrocities against Ukraine. And away from that, let's go to Turkey, where a Turkish court on Thursday confirmed a halt of the trial in absentia of 26 suspects linked to the killing of Saudi critic Jamal Khashoggi and its transfer to Riyadh, a decision that has angered rights groups. The 59-year-old journalist was killed inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul on October 2, 2018, in a gruesome murder that shocked the world. The Turkish court began the trial in 2020 with relations tense between the 2 Sunni Muslim regional powers. The court's decision comes almost a week after Justice Minister Bakir Bozdag said that he would greenlight a Turkish prosecutor's request to hand the case over to Saudi Arabia at the demand of the latter. The prosecutor said the case was dragging because the court's order could not be carried out since the defendants were foreigners. The defense lawyer Ali Ceylan told the court on Thursday that there would be a fair trial in Saudi Arabia. Another defense lawyer, Gökmen Baspinar, denounced the Justice Ministry's move as against law. However, 5 people were handed death sentences by the kingdom over Khashoggi's killing, but a Saudi court in September 2020 overturned them while giving jail terms of up to 20 years to 8 unnamed defendants following secretive legal proceedings. This time, let's talk business, where the Federal Executive Council, that is the FEC, has approved 35 billion naira for various projects in the aviation sector. The projects include increased cost of construction of terminal buildings at Akano Ibiam International Airport, Enugu State, and the airport at Asaba. Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika made this known after Wednesday's cabinet meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. He said 5.6 billion naira of the money was approved for the maintenance of the nation's new international building terminals in Abuja and Port Harcourt. Sirika added that the council also approved 14.2 billion naira as increase in the cost of the construction of terminal buildings at Akano Ibiam International Airport, Enugu State, and at the Asaba Airport. He said the ministry also got approval of 469.4 million naira for the procurement of an X-ray machine and maintenance support services. Sirika also announced that the cabinet approved increased costs for the procurement, configuration and delivery and commissioning of transportable radars. According to him, this is co-mounted with another radar and tower control center for enhancement of the northeast surveillance safety of air navigation operations and for the airport at Maiduguri to run for 24 hours daily. The minister said 14.7 billion naira was approved for the construction of the clinics at Abuja, Kano, Port Harcourt and Lagos airports, as well as the replacement of elevators and excavators at Wings D and E at the old Lagos airports. And now let's have you know that the Somali region of Somaliland has launched an international appeal for $2 billion to urgently deliver humanitarian and livelihood support. The appeal comes after a huge fire destroyed the main market in the capital, Hargeisa, wiping out an estimated 5,000 small, medium and large family businesses and therefore devastating local economy. Somaliland President Muse Bihi Abdi said in a statement that the fire had caused losses estimated at $2 billion or around 60% of the country's gross domestic product. Its GDP in 2020 was just over $2.9 billion, shrinking 3.1% from the previous year, largely because of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, according to official figures. Somaliland declared independence from Somalia in 1991, but the move has not been recognized by the international community, living in the region of about 4 million people. The breakaway region has, however, remained relatively stable, while Somalia has been racked by decades of political violence and an Islamic insurgency. An investigation team is looking into the cause of the fire, and its report is expected to be disclosed to the media in the next few days, he further said. And now let's get to Saudi Arabia, where Saudi Arabia announced on Thursday a $3 billion support for Yemen following the formation of the Yemeni Presidential Leadership Council. The Saudi press agency reported that the support included $2 billion offered jointly by the Kingdom and the United Arab Emirates, that is the UAE, to the Yemeni Central Bank. It said it also included $1 billion from Saudi Arabia, in which $600 million was to fund the purchase of oil derivatives and $400 million to support development projects and initiatives. Saudi Arabia also announced offering $300 million for the United Nations, that is UN Humanitarian Response Plan in 2020, to alleviate the sufferings of the Yemeni people. Meanwhile, the kingdom urged the newly formed Yemeni Council to embark on negotiations with the Houthis under the auspices of the UN to reach a final and comprehensive political solution. Earlier, Yemeni President Abd Rabbu Mansour Hadi had announced the establishment of a Presidential Leadership Council and handed over power to the council to proceed with the duties during the transition period. Yemen has been mired in a civil war since 2014 when the Iran-backed Houthi militia seized control of several northern provinces and forced the Saudi-backed Yemeni government of Hadi out of the capital, Sana'a. The Saudi-led Arab coalition intervened on March 26, 2015 to support the Yemeni government. Still to come on The World Now at 4 is sports. Stay with us.
Good evening and welcome to Sport News on World Now at 4. I am Memo Cynthia Asoya. FIFA responded on Wednesday to speculation that it might change the format of games in the World Cup by insisting the basic length of matches in Qatar would remain 90 minutes. In a statement which reads, following some reports and rumors spread today, FIFA liked to clarify that there would be no changes to the rules regarding the length of football matches for the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 or any other competitions. Report had earlier revealed that FIFA President Gianni Infantino was considering encouraging referees to play more stoppage time, effectively extending games to 100 minutes to make up for the amount of time the ball is not in play. The jersey worn by Diego Maradona when he scored twice against England in the 1986 World Cup, including the infamous Hand of God goal, is to be auctioned off later this month, Sotheby announced on Wednesday. The blue number 10 shirt has been owned since the end of the controversial World Cup encounter by opposing midfielder Steve Hodge, who swapped his jersey with Maradona after England lost 2-1. The quarterfinal showdown of the most memorable in World Cup history held particularly significant for Argentina as it was played only 4 years after the loss of Falklands War. The match became etched in world folklore for Maradona's 2 goals, one notorious and one sublime, in Mexico City's Citizens Aztecs Stadium. The decision of whether to keep it accessible to the public will be up to the winning bidder. Braham Watcher Sotheby's, head of streetwear and modern collectibles, said the list is long for the type of people or organizations that might want to own the item. He said it could be an individual, it could be a museum, it could be just somebody who wants to own the best of the best, a football lover or a club. Bidding for Maradona's memorabilia will start at £4 million, $5.2 million to $5.6 million record for Game 1 shirts set in 2019 for a jersey Babe Ruth wore while on the New York Yankees. Last year, a jersey worn in the 1950s by Brooklyn Dodgers star Jack Robinson, the first black player in Major League Baseball, sold for $4.2 million. Over now to the World Cup, former Barcelona coach Ronald Koeman will take over as Netherlands boss from Louis van Gaal after this year's World Cup, the Dutch Football Federation said on Wednesday. Van Gaal announced at the weekend that he has been receiving treatment for prostate cancer for the last 2 years, but that he will still hope to lead the team at the finals that kick off in Qatar in November. It will be 59-year-old Koeman's second time in charge of the Dutch national team after taking the reins from 2018 to 2020 when he left the post to become coach of Barcelona. He was dismissed by the Spanish Giants in October last year after 14 difficult months in charge, which included the departure of Lionel Messi to Paris Saint-Germain as the club plunged into financial difficulties. The Netherlands will play the opening match of the World Cup in Qatar against Senegal, and they also have the host nation and Ecuador in Group A. French striker Karim Benzema's hat-trick fired Real Madrid to a stunning 3-1 win against Chelsea that put the Champions League holders on the brink of elimination after a dramatic quarter-final first leg on Wednesday. Benzema produced a masterclass at Stamford Bridge as the France striker netted twice in the first half with 2 perfectly taken headers. Kai Havertz reduced the deficit before the interval. But Benzema punished a woeful mistake from Chelsea skipper Edouard Mendy in the second half to complete his treble. It was the sublime Benzema's second successive Champions League hat-trick after he single-handedly inspired their epic comeback against Paris Saint-Germain in the last 16-second leg. And that's your sport news on World Now at 4. Back to Udwak for the rest of the news.
Many thanks, Memo Cynthia Sawyer, for that sports delivery. This is still The World Now at 4 on Hills TV. Before we go, another look at our major stories. We told you earlier, Buhari approves redeployment of Abdullahi as new Minister of Environment. We also told you Turkey court confirms transfer of Khashoggi murder trial to Saudis. We brought to the fore the fact that Kiev accuses Hungary of helping Putin in Ukraine war. And on sports, Maradona's World Cup Hand of God jersey to be auctioned. Remember to visit us on Facebook at Hills TV, Instagram at Hills TV, our YouTube channel is at Hills TV. I am Uduak Daniel. Thank you for watching.